Howdy, 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 guys. Welcome to a Monday night. Sorry I'm running a little bit behind. Just one of those kind of days. Yeah, we all have those days every once in a while. Uh, Dawn, I saw your comment that you got your cell phone a little bit later than usual just to watch the show. So thank you for that. But I'm sorry I started a little bit later. We'll front load it. We'll talk about all the important stuff during the first 30 minutes. How about that? And the rest of the time we'll just stuff that won't matter, right? No. We're not. I'm not gonna do that. But welcome and thank you, Don, uh, for hanging out. Thanks to all the rest of y'all as well. Let me start off as I always do. SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all my fellow Big Brother fans out there. Thank y'all for coming on board. Man, last week was a lot of fun. For those of you who didn't catch it, I had my kids on last week, and we talked a little bit about their experiences watching their dad on reality TV. There were some definite highs for him, some definite lows for him as well. But it was fun talking to them as well. So we'll have to do that again. And someone asked about getting Sharon on here. I'm not sure Sharon necessarily is going to want to come on and talk a lot, but we'll do something else. We'll get Kelly and Daniel back on. We'll get my brother who was on The Apprentice. We'll get my mom talk about what it was like having her son on the show. I don't know, we'll figure something else out. But that was fun last week. But that was last week. Yeah, we got a whole new thing lined up this week to talk about. Now, before we get going too much, I want to just make a mention, just a little bit of a somber note. And I don't want to make the whole broadcast like that, but I did think it was worth mentioning. For those of you who've been out here watching for a while, Chickadee and Crosstrack are a couple who've been out here just about every week watching this show. And unfortunately, I found out that they lost a very close family member, Chickadee's mom, I believe, to COVID, and as a result, they're taking care of that. My heart goes out to them. I don't think they're on watching this evening, but Chickadee and Crosstrack, if you'll watch this later, my heart goes out to you. You're certainly in the thoughts and prayers of the entire Hog family, and anything I can do to help get y'all through this. It's such tragic news. I hated hearing that. I'm involved in an Aggie message board, and one of the main posters on that board is a doctor who actually also just passed from COVID this week as well. So, it, just we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're almost to the corner. This stuff's going to be over at some point in time. But in the meanwhile, stay safe, socially distance, wear your mask, don't go do things that are unnecessary that you don't need to do. We just waited out a little bit longer. We'll get through such a rough thing that we've all had to deal with. So, guys, just my little PSA for the moment. But again, Crosstrack and Chickadee, my heart goes out to you, and you were certainly in my thoughts. So, with that, let's move on to some other things as we go. Now, I didn't have a whole lot lined up. I got a few things I'll talk about, but certainly, y'all, I'm watching the comments as much as I can, and y'all, if there's questions y'all have about reality TV or anything else, I'm happy to talk about it. But as usual, I did want to talk a little bit about on this day and what is today and all that. Well, the big one. I mean, today uh, we got to cover, and I'm honored to cover. Today is National Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Uh, yeah, it is such a big deal. It's different. I know here in Houston, as in most cities, I think normally there's a big parade to celebrate Martin Luther King, civil rights, and everything else. It's all virtual today, so just like everything else, things change a little bit because of it. Uh, but it's interesting. And when I don't talk politics on here because politics can be divisive, and that's not what this show is about. But with regard to Martin Luther King and everything that he stood for, yeah, I'm 50 something years old. I was born in 1965, and we're not there yet. This is not a perfect country. We aren't there yet, but the leaps and bounds and strides, the progress we've made in the last 55 years now compared to when I was born in 1965, with regard to race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, so many different topics dealing with equality. The progress we've made gives me so much hope for where we will continue to go. And so I'm still very optimistic that we'll eventually get where we need to go. So it's nice. It's not as though it's nice to have the little reminder today with the official national day, but certainly over the last year or so, we've had more than enough reminders on a daily basis about again where we're not quite yet and what we need to do. But again, Martin Luther King today, and I welcome that. Did y'all know a little trivia? You got to throw things at. Did you know that Martin Luther King Jr. was not originally named Martin Luther? No, 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 no. His name was actually Michael King to start with. I think his dad's name was Michael King as well, and so that's where he started. And at some point in Martin Luther's early life, his dad went over to Europe. I guess in the process, did some research, and but I assume that the Martin Luther, the Protestant Reformation, and all that. Anyway, he came back home and said, "Yeah, I'm changing my name to Martin Luther, and I may change my son's name to Martin Luther King Jr. as well." So yes, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but it easily could have been Michael King Jr. Day if his dad hadn't made a little trip to Europe. Apparently, Martin Luther didn't even change his name on his birth certificate until he was 28, 29 years old, and eventually said, "Oh, maybe I need to make some little changes to make it official." So just your little bit of trivia for people who think that they know everything there is to know about Martin Luther Jr. King. So we do have that. Now, just to throw this out, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day or MLK Day. Did y'all realize last Monday was National Milk Day? I don't know. National Milk Day, National MLK Day. I don't know. Coincidence? I don't know. I just happened to catch the two of those and thought it was a funny little similarity between the two. Milk Day, MLK Day, they just kind of roll together, don't they? I guess we're getting into the rounds, the area of dad jokes and bad puns and everything else. Anyway, we do have it. So today's National Martin Luther King Day. Tomorrow is a pretty important day, I guess. Not like today, but tomorrow's National Popcorn Day. So those of you who've got the popcorn, break it out, pop it up, enjoy your day. I'm eating a lot less popcorn nowadays because I'm not going to the movies and getting the popcorn. That's where we eat a lot of it. As a little inside story for y'all with regards to popcorn and all that, Tommy Bracco, Big Brother 21, along with me, Tommy has a passion for movie popcorn to the point that he would actually go to movie theaters and tell the people, say, "I don't want to watch a movie. I just want to order the popcorn. Can I order a big thing of popcorn and leave?" They'd say, "Yeah, sure. If you want to spend $10 on your container of popcorn, come on in." So he would order a big old container of popcorn, take it home, and just eat it while he's watching a movie or something. But he just liked the taste of the movie popcorn, said it was something special. And I kind of get it as well. So it's National Popcorn Day. Now, it's funny. Inside the Big Brother house, we didn't have popcorn. And I don't know why. Nowadays, when I was young, we had, was it the Jiffy Pop? It was looked like a little frying pan with aluminum foil on it. You cook it over the stove, and it was so fun as a kid to watch that aluminum foil just slowly form up into a big ball. And once it was all popped, then you cut into the top of that ball, and there's the popcorn everywhere. Nowadays, we got microwave. It's so easy now. You just throw it in, and 30 seconds, a couple of minutes later, you've got it popped. But back then, it was a little different. But no, we didn't have any popcorn inside the Big Brother house, and it would have been so easy to do. The only thing I can think is it may have been too loud. Crunching a popcorn with our microphones right here underneath our on our chest and all that. It may have just been a little too much. And I got to say, Christy's eating and chewing never bothered me whatsoever. But I know people talk about it out here. Once I got out, I heard a little bit about it. Christy and popcorn may have been just a little too much for the live feeders. They may have just absolutely turned off everything if for some of the people who get irritated by things like that had seen some of that. But now I missed my popcorn while I was inside the house, but Lord knows I got plenty of it while I'm sitting here in the house now, riding out the quarantines and everything else. Yeah, you're right, Doom. They sold that popcorn at Blockbuster. Yeah, used to be a Blockbuster on every single block, it seems like. And nowadays, I've heard there's one Blockbuster that's still left. I think they just keep it up for just nostalgia purposes. I guess you can still go in there and rent movies and everything else, but it used to be a big deal going down on a Friday night and trying to get your at first your VCRs and then later DVDs and renting a movie and then having to rush back on a Sunday to get turned in before you got charged for extra days and everything. And Then we moved to Redbox and going up and renting them from there. And yeah, you just find it all online, and it's no big deal at all. Uh, so anyway, yeah. So National Popcorn. I'm looking at the comments as we go. Small popcorn $10, extra large popcorn $11, and if you want butter on it, a couple of dollars more. I do remember Lord of the Rings. Once all the different Lord of the Rings had come out, uh, they had a trilogy of all the movies at the movie theater. I think you paid, I don't know, it was pretty cheap, $10, $15, and you could come in. The first movie, Fellowship of the Ring, started I don't know 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and they played all three movies in order throughout the entire day. And for an extra $5, something like that, you could get $10. You could get I don't know, all the popcorn you could eat and hot dogs for $1 and drinks for $1, refills, something like that. And so my son and I went up there and we watched every bit of that. And I tell you, that's a great way to watch all the trilogy. It does make for a long day, but I probably have never eaten more hot dogs and more popcorn in my entire life than sitting there on that Saturday from start to finish with all that cheap movie popcorn. Loved it. It was so much fun. It's a great way to spend the day and had a blast doing it. But yeah, that was a lot of popcorn on that particular day. All right, let's see. I'm already getting a tangent. I've been talking for 10 minutes. I'm already off on something completely different that I plan to talk about. Yes, they sold popcorn bluster. Do you think there'll ever be a season of Big Brother with the same theme, twist, and competitions as the previous season, but with new contestants? That would be cool, Don, if they did it. And there's certainly competitions and things from past seasons that I'd love to see, especially some of the food comps and things like that. I don't think you'd ever have the same theme, and probably not the same twist. You'll never see one season completely replicated in another season because they always want to keep it new. They want to make it exciting and interesting. And so I think more likely you'll see seasons where they may grab some challenges from different past seasons, and probably not ever quite the same theme. I could see a season maybe where they take different rooms and try to combine a whole lot of different rooms into a single house, perhaps something like that. But yeah, not anything too exactly the same as the past. They always want to ramp it up and change it just a little bit. All right, let's see. Let's see. As I'm going through here. Uh, I wish there was a do not assume twist again or a secret pairing thing. Yeah, secret pairing. Lord, we had enough secret pairings in my season. Kat and Holly, Tommy and Christy. We had a few of those already. That was tough. But you know the difference in ours. Ours was not an official twist. I know was it season 8 where you had the past connections. Was it Evil Dick and Danielle and Dustin and Joe, and I can't remember who the other two were, but that was part of the official twist. That's a little bit different than having people come in just because. Uh, so yeah, as a person playing the game, I would hate to be partnered up with someone where you're forced to work with someone, as opposed to just naturally developing alliances and things like that. Because I think it tends to hamper your game a little bit. But yeah, you got to be adaptable. You got to be flexible. And if they ever do it, it'd be fun to watch. Honestly, Ben, was there anybody in the Big Brother house with special diets? If so, how did they eat their certain foods? Yeah, Ben, that's a great question. Now, this last season, All Stars, man, it seems like everyone in there had special diets. Vegan and no GMOs, organic. Who knows? Wall seems like there were a lot of demands and special requirements for food. With us, the only ones I remember as special food requirements, Tommy had a severe peanut allergy, so we had to be very careful with him to the point that we kept a jar of peanut butter in the refrigerator in the kitchen that people would use to make peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I mean, not jelly, not peanut butter, jelly. Had a jar of jelly in the fridge, and people would use that to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and things like that. So Tommy would never use that jar of jelly just in case there was a little bit of peanut butter in there. He kept a separate jar of jelly back in the refrigerator and storage room that was just for his use, so that he knew that nothing having to do with peanuts or nuts of any sort had touched it. So we had to be super careful with Tommy. And I know at one point, I can't remember what it was, it's when the owl, the alien, came into the house and was going around throwing food all around and everything. At one point, he took a bunch of peanuts and he threw them out around the house. And we immediately said, hey, be careful because Tommy is allergic to peanuts and everything. And so we quickly cleaned that up, got rid of the peanut dust and everything else. So yeah, Tommy had special food requirements that we really watched out for. Kimmy told us she was allergic to apples. And so we tried to avoid doing anything with apples while she was in the house. And then later we heard that, well, maybe she wasn't actually allergic to apples. She just didn't like them. So I never got quite clear on exactly how that worked out. But those are the only two people in our house that potentially had a special food requirements. And we went out of our way to make sure it's taken care of, is protected. Parker's mentioned, yeah, Festi from season 20 had his halal diet, which I'm glad they were able to honor that and everything else. It's a little tough that he then turned around and picked Amazon as his secret punishment or whatever. And so he had to eat all was it spam or whatever, but because he couldn't eat pork, they brought out the non-pork version of spam. And it sounds absolutely horrible. I think Festi probably regrets picking that particular punishment as he did. But yeah, my understanding, Big Brother has always been very, very good about trying to take care of people. And, we're all like inside, but it's about trying to get as many different people as you can. And so if someone has a little bit different food requirements, now, if it's just, hey, I don't like such and such type food, well, they're probably going to say, well, whatever, you better find something else to eat while you're in there. But if it's an actual medical situation, yeah, they took care of us, and we all did as well. Lord, the last thing I wanted was to have Tommy fall over because he accidentally got some peanuts or something in his system. That would have been horrible. Um, Now Tommy couldn't eat nuts, but what he couldn't stand was mayonnaise, and mayonnaise was a whole different issue. We had a lot of fun kind of chasing him around with some spoons of mayonnaise. We made him try one once, and you would think he'd just immediately taken arsenic the way he fell over and was cringing and everything else. So yeah, he couldn't eat the nuts. He didn't like eating the mayonnaise. He also did not like eating canned chili, which I got a can of canned chili in HOH basket, and I made him take a bite. And you would think I was making him eat spoiled horse meat or something. The way he responded to that as well. But yeah, foods were always interesting inside the house because just so many people. I love my spices. Other people in there can't stand anything spicy at all. Nicole couldn't eat anything that had the slightest bit of spice on it. So we tried to cook anything very, very low spices, and then I would just ramp it up with hot sauce and everything else I had. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right, let's see what else is going on before I talk about some of mine. If I was put on slop, I would just not eat for a week. Moss talking about, yeah, Ma. I think people talked about that before. Sam was a person. I think Sam, when he got on, Sam was rough. He got sent home after being on slop for a week. So that just kind of adds insult to injury. But Sam, I think on the first day of slop said, yeah, I think I'm just not going to eat it anymore. I think he was saying, I'll just have a one thing of slop in the morning. I'm not eating the rest of the time. And I think that's uh, the I think that's when we realized that it's not just the slop. I mean, the slop doesn't taste great, and it just leaves a pit in your stomach, I think. But it's also just not having access to all the rest of the foods. It just really does a number on your system. And Angie being the genius that she is, saying I'd say I was allergic to slop. All right, Angie, it's a good idea, but here's a little insight that a lot of y'all don't know. I may have mentioned it once or twice on here before. When we had slop in that house, when we went back to the storage room, we had containers of slop, but we also had all kinds of alternatives to slop, just in case you were allergic to the oats or what. I don't know, maybe not the oats, but we had regular slop. We had soy slop. We had gluten-free slop. I don't know how you do gluten-free with slop. That seems a little strange, but we had about 4 different versions of the slop sitting in different packages. So if you claimed that you couldn't eat one, they'd say, well, lucky you, because we got the other one right over here. So we had a lot of different deals to it. And yeah, Lawrence asking, can you add sugar to the slop? Yeah, you could add pretty much any condiment that you wanted to it. In fact, you could eat condiments on your own. You could, in addition to slop, we could eat pickles, olives, yeah, salt, sugar, syrup, things like that. And that's what I've always figured. Because I tried it. I was never a have not. I never had a chance to be a have not because we only had it for a couple of weeks in our season. But I tried it, and I kind of figured out that once I cooked it up, put enough brown sugar in there, put enough syrup in there, get it sweet enough that it wasn't too bad. It nutritious. I don't know. I guess it had all the stuff that was supposed to take care of your daily nutritional needs. But yeah, I could sweeten it up enough that it wouldn't have been too bad. I remember that Tommy and Kat and Christy, I think, made slop ice cream one time. Just put a lot of cream in, rolled it up. They tried to make slop meatballs that were the density of a golf ball. If you threw it on the ground, it would bounce like a golf ball as well. Those things were horrible. You talk about leaving a pit in your stomach. That's what those things felt like. Those were miserable. But everyone tried to do all different ways of frying those things up and cooking them up and everything. And yes, you could add sugar and all kinds of different condiments to help. Didn't Ian throw up on slop? Yeah, he definitely got sick. I don't know if he got actually to the point of throwing up or not, but apparently one thing I understand, it was Ian and Nicole felt miserable. They changed the slop formulation a little bit. Apparently last year they went with steel rolled oats or cut oats or something, which apparently required a lot more boiling than slop recipes in the past. And so I guess they didn't realize it at the time. They didn't cook it as much as they needed to, and so it really did a number on their system. So yeah, there's nothing fun about slop. And a man saying, doesn't it make you constipated? It does all kinds of things to you. I think some people, yeah, it's just like a big old cork. It makes you a little, it certainly upsets your system. But then we've got other people, my season, and I'm not going to throw out specific names to protect the innocent and not so innocent. But we certainly had some people who, while they were on slop, the amount of gas that was created was a major. It was a punishment for those of us not on slop, more so than the people who were on slop at times. So yeah, it does all kinds of numbers to your system. There's nothing fun about that slop whatsoever. It was a little it was very interesting. But again, we only had it for a couple of weeks, and I don't know. I know the talk about Mickey in the shower and did he or didn't he cheat on it, and I don't know if that came into play or not, but it is amazing that the first week I won HOH, so I wasn't eligible to be on slop. Second week, it was the four people who finished in last place on the HOH competition, which I didn't compete in because I was HOH, so I couldn't compete. And so there wasn't even a chance for me to be on slop. It wasn't even a matter of me not volunteering. It was just because we only had it for 2 weeks. I think at that point in time, once we got done with that, I think there were only four people who had not been on slop at all. And it was myself and Nick and Sis and Holly. And so we said, all right, well, for next week's slop, unless it's determined something other than volunteering, we'll volunteer to be on slop since we haven't done it before. That was Nick and Holly and myself. Sis said, forget that. I'm only going on slop if they make me. I'm not volunteering for anything. And so three of us were willing to go on. Sis wasn't quite so certain. As it turns out, it didn't matter because the slop ended after only 2 weeks of have-nots anyway. So for whatever reason, we didn't have it nearly as long as other people. Don saying, love pickles and olives. I don't think I could stand not having pickles and olives. I was the same way. I really thought, you give me olives, you give me pickles. I'm probably pretty good for the entire week if I have to. Amanda's saying, what time did they wake you up every morning? Amanda, it actually varied. It depended on what was going on that particular day. And we finally decoded it. We figured it out. We figured it out. Ovi's the one who figured out the way this thing worked. On a normal, regular day, we would wake up around 10 o'clock in the morning was when we had to be up out of bed, change our batteries, and start the day, everything like that. But if there was something going on that day, for instance, on a Friday where we had the veto nomination, or on Monday where we had the veto ceremony, if something like that was going on, they'd wake us up typically an hour later. So we'd be up at 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock. If it was a day where there were two things going on, for example, on Saturdays where we had veto competitions and picking for the veto ceremony, typically if there were two special events going on that day, then normally they would wake us up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so that's how we figured it out, either 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 8 o'clock. And sometimes when they woke us up, we would use that to try to figure out what maybe was going on that day. I think there was one time where maybe they woke us up at 8. And we were thinking, well, they really should have only woken us up at 9. Is there something special going on? Is there some twist that's getting ready to happen? And just a little thing like that, just being woke up at a slightly different time would just put us all on edge, wondering what was going on. I know there was one time where I think they let us sleep just a little bit later than normal or something. Anyway, I don't remember what it was, but I went into the kitchen and I changed the clock. I moved it ahead an hour so it actually said 10 o'clock or something. And people all came out and they didn't know what time it was. And they're all questioning, and did someone change the clock or is it really 10 o'clock? And had a lot of people that were confused. My worst fear was that I was going to forget just how far it advanced the clock. And for the rest of the season, we wouldn't know exactly what time it was unless I went back and changed it. Well, I still could remember what time it was actually supposed to be. But yeah, I tried to play a little prank with time changes and things like that, and anything to have fun while we're in there. Um, let's see, slop sounds like screwed up oatmeal. Yeah, Ma, it pretty much is. Take away all the flavoring of oatmeal and just give you the oats. And then add a lot of protein powders as well, and that's what slop is. A lot of people would take a little grater or a sifter, and they would sift out the protein powder, so you just had the oats by themselves and try to cook that up instead. And then just have like a protein shake or something with the protein powder, so that you didn't have it all getting cooked up and ingested at once. People tried a lot of different things. All right, let's see. Oh, remember that? Bebop I've watched since I was happy. That's okay. All right. I think I've caught everything. What else is going on, guys? All right. All right. I've been talking so much, I didn't even get through my first little bit. I want to talk a little bit this day in history, just because there's two things I wanted to point out real quick, and then we'll move on. First of all, for those of you who aren't children of the 70s, you may not care, but for me, a very special day. On this day in 1974, the premiere of a very special TV program. See if anyone can guess it just by doing some sound effects. Yang, 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 yang. Yang, 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 yang. The premiere of The $6 Million Man starring Lee Majors. That was so huge back then. The idea that someone could have bionic, I don't know, I guess bionic maybe that was a word before the show, but we weren't aware of it. A bionic arm, bionic leg, bionic vision. The idea they could use mechanics to help improve a person was just such a huge concept. So cool. It's like a every person Superman kind of deal. So it's really neat. Now you look at it and you think, well, that's not really that big. It'd still be cool to be able to run like 80 miles an hour with bionic legs or whatever. But now it doesn't seem so unfeasible like it was back then, that you could actually use mechanics and things like robotics and all to improve limbs and eyesight and everything else. Kind of seems like we're just almost there anyway, right? I should have known back then, as soon as that show came on, that I was going to grow up to be an engineer, because just the analytical little Cliff sitting there watching $6 Million Man, reality, that TV back then and everything. And yet I still was also upset when I watched the show, because I was like, how can he run that fast when he only has one bionic leg? Wouldn't the other leg, the regular leg, just keep getting drugged behind and he just be running in circles the same time? I always wondered how you got to fix both legs, right? And if one leg is so bionic and so super, wouldn't you just go ahead and say, yeah, go ahead and, yeah, my other leg may be good, but go ahead and switch it out. I'm good if you give me both. If it means I can run 80 miles an hour and everything. So yeah, that used to always bug me a little bit, that it just didn't seem to work the way it would. But I still love the show. I had a blast watching it. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, Angie, can't believe you had the TV guide to tell you what was on TV. It wasn't hard when you only had 5 or 6 channels. I still remember when Fox TV became a brand new station. It's like, oh my gosh, we're getting fifth network TV. Think of all the extra shows we're going to have. We had the Lisa, what was her name? I can't, not Lisa. Anyway, The Simpsons premiered on the sketch comedians, Tracy Ullman. The Tracy Ullman Show was one of the first on Fox TV, along with Married with Children, which was great. But Tracy Ullman's where they had actually the Simpsons. Started off as just a little cartoon within her show. And it was so popular, they made a show of its own, and I guess it's the longest running primetime TV or something now. So yeah, back in the day when we didn't have a whole lot of options to choose from, TV stations would typically shut down 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and then you just would have the Driven Indian, or you'd have the Color Bar and things like that. Nowadays, you got 50, 60, more than that. You have as many channels as you want, 24 hours a day. Of course, have them are paid programs and all that. But yeah, different world back then, Angie, when you had the TV guy to tell you everything that was going on. I remember as a kid, Saturday mornings cartoons, those were prime time for kids. And when they'd have a new season, I would get so excited. I'd grab the newspaper from my dad and I'd look through when they'd announce what the new cartoons were going to be on a Saturday morning, and get so excited. Get up at 7 in the morning just so I could watch all the cartoons and figure out which ones I was going to watch for the rest of the fall, or the rest of the spring as it was. I'm going to get caught up on some of these comments because I kind of been talking too much. Who died from Survivor? Was that Sunday? Was that who passed away? I could be wrong, Ma, but and Parker, but I know that they lost someone, and I want to say it was to cancer, but I could be wrong. You figure how many people have competed in Survivor? How many have competed in Big Brother? I mean, it's natural. We're going to occasionally lose some people here and there, but yeah, that's a shame. I did read about that. Uh, yeah, Don saying can't be the season you don't want to be on. Don, I was so excited when I walked into that house because I didn't know what theme it was going to be. And some seasons they're so there's some seasons I've enjoyed all seasons, but the theme some seasons I go, oh my god, that would drive me crazy being in a house with so many bright lights and neon and LEDs and all that. When I got in our house and I saw it was a camp theme, it was wood everywhere and campground look to it. I thought this is perfect for me. This is exactly why I couldn't have picked a better theme. And I got to say, the HOH room for our season, I loved it. The tarps over the top made it look like a big tent and everything, and it's just very comforting, very relaxing. So yeah, I agree. I enjoyed the Camp BB theme. Some people said they didn't like it that much. I've never had a problem with that theme itself. Uh, the Flintstones, yeah, the Flintstones. Dawn is definitely an older show. That was prime time. I want to say it was CBS. That was a little before my time as well when it was on prime time TV. But can you picture just regular old TV and they've got cartoons for kids at 7 o'clock at night, 7:30 at night? Seems like, as I recall, 7 o'clock or so, which I guess was 8 o'clock on the East Coast. That first hour was considered family prime time. So during that hour, it wasn't anything but shows that kids and families could watch together. And then as you got into the later hours of prime time, you'd start getting things that were more dramas and things that were a little more serious, and a little bit more adult driven. But yeah, that first hour was always for the kids as well. And so that. All right, question. Why did Natalie leave the challenge? I didn't know when I talked about it last week. They didn't announce on the show, but she's later came out and said that she had an unexpected pregnancy. Yeah, I don't remember, 5, 6, 8 weeks. I can't remember the exact time, but apparently she came onto the show just a little bit pregnant and found out. I guess they did just some different testing while you're in there, and came to her and said, "Hey, just to let you know, you're pregnant," and which is amazing. Some of the challenges they do on that show to be pregnant, and still, I mean, she won the first week and got her gold skull. So I know she was disappointed and happy at the same time. Disappointed she had to leave the show, but then happy about the pregnancy. Now, unfortunately, thoughts and prayers go out to her because I know the she had some problems and the pregnancy didn't happen, and that was obviously devastating to her and everything else. But yeah, that's my understanding is that it was actually a pregnancy that took her off the show. That's the second season in a row. I can't remember who it was last season on Challenge. She competed the whole season and then found out after the fact that she was pregnant. And so, yeah, it's part of life, I suppose, at that time. But knowing the kind of challenges those people compete in, mad props to anyone who's doing those challenges and also pregnant at the same time. That's tough. I got so much respect for any woman who can do that. Lawrence saying Mark Wahlberg was attached to star the $6 billion man. Yeah, $6 million doesn't sound like much anymore, does it? $6 billion sounds about right. All right, yeah, and the Flintstones aired in the '60s. I knew it was a little before my time. So, Angie from Angie Hung is saying it was Angie Jacuz from Kansas. Okay, I got it partially right. So thank you for that, Angie. Parker, I watched a strange cooking show on Netflix called Cooking with Cannabis. I don't get it. Yeah, you start and finish the brownies, I guess, huh? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but that's when I think about food and cannabis. I guess that's what I think of. I don't know, maybe a whole lot of pizza. I don't know. Amanda Taiwan Camp Big Brother hoodie. They didn't sell those though. I got a hoodie I, I laugh because that was the very first week that we did the. I think it was the food challenge, or the food fight challenge, where we had to catch the salad dressing, slide along the table, and catch the strawberries. I love sliding on that table. That was a lot of fun. But we were so covered in goop and slime and everything else. And they wanted to do a lot of diary room interviews with us still all messy and everything else. But they didn't want us inside the house getting stuff everywhere. So they gave us hoodies to put on after the fact. So I've got a Camp BB hoodie, but it's in pink, which maybe isn't Boss Hogg's color of choice most of the times. But being the man I am, pink's fine with me too. So I do have a hoodie, pink hoodie with green writing that says Camp BB. It's still so cool. I have all my mementos, all my costumes they sent to me after and everything from Big Brother, and every single one of those. When I look at them, it's just exciting. It just brings back so many memories. Most of them good, sometimes not 100%, but it just immediately brings back so much thoughts about what that particular challenge was, what was going on. Did I win? Did I lose? What? This I think about it. I guess the HOH and the veto I won, we didn't have costumes on, so I don't have any costumes for that. But the battle back, when we had to go through that dark maze, they gave they gave us some kind of plaid shirt and a blue jean jacket to put on, and so I wore that while I was in the dark maze, and I still have that. And when I see that, I think, oh yeah, that was the day I saved my rear end and fought my way back into the house and kept from going home on day number one, which would have been so hard, so rough. Don saying I mainly just want Cliff and Nicole and some other people come back to host competitions in my season. All right, Don. Here's the thing: if I come back onto that show and you're on there, it's tough because I'm not allowed to. I don't think I'm allowed to say anything. I'm pretty sure that if you go in that house, you can't show any partiality to anyone else. You can't do anything except just say, "Hey guys," and hug them all and everything. But do you know how cool it would be to go back in that house just to host a competition? I would love it. I would have so much fun. There's two things I would love to do. Well, three things. I'd love to go back and compete somewhere down the road. Will that happen? I don't know. I'd love it, but we'll see. If not, that's okay. But I certainly would love to go back and host a competition one time. Just go back into that house one last time and see everyone that's competing. And just in my mind, I'd be thinking, oh, you don't even know what's in store for you, my friend. You got so long to go and everything. I'd love to go back in and host a competition. I would love to go back one day and just say, show me around the outside. Let me look through the other side of the windows. Let me see the cameras and your offices and everything that's behind the scenes that we don't get to see. Uh, Truly, if someone just give me a camera and give me a couple hours just to document everything, I would promise to never reveal it to anyone until Big Brother was shut down completely. But I would have so much fun at that point, then editing into some little show and just say, this is everything that we missed over all these years. I have so much admiration and respect now that I've done the show and realizing, I don't think I completely realize how many people and the logistics of doing that show. The cameramen, the showrunners, the producers, the editors, everyone that's involved in that, I can't even imagine. But to know that there was that much magic happening around the outside of that house while we're just sitting in there talking about dumb stuff and plotting and conspiring and everything else, and there's so many people there making it happen. So it's a little bit like going to Disney World or some theme park. Yeah, you get to see all the magic inside, and you tend to forget about how many people are involved. Same with the space program. Yeah, we got the 5 astronauts that go up in space, forgetting that there's 50,000, 500,000 other people who aren't on that spaceship. And every single one has contributed something to make it happen. It's the complexity of some of these things, and I'll put Big Brother up there as well. I'd love to document it somewhere down the road. Lawrence, I'd love to see Cliff be the secret house guest on Big Brother Canada. He has to hide in the attic for a week or something. Okay, I do it, Lawrence. Hey, let me just be the guy handing out the Wendy's burgers to the people who won the competitions. I'll do that as well. I got to say, I love my Big Brother house. We talked already about the BB camp, how much I love that twist. The Canadian Big Brother houses. There have been some cool houses on the Canadian version of that show. I mean, the layout of the house, everything about it. I like the fact they have washer and dryers inside and not in the backyard, so they have access to them all the time. They got blenders. There's lots of things I like about the BB house, including a lot of the themes. But yeah, I'll come in and be the secret house guest. I think that would be just fine with me. Angie, would you prefer to play Big Brother again or go on Amazing Race with one of your kids? anything I could do with my kids, I'd do that first in a heartbeat without hesitation. So Amazing Race wins that question. If you say, would you rather go on Amazing Race with some random person, or throw in Kat or Nicole or Tommy? Would you rather do Amazing Race with some reality person, or go back into the Big Brother house? I don't know. That would be tough. That would be hard. I'd love to do both, and throw in Survivor while you're at it as well. I think it would probably come down to whoever calls me first. You get priority, my friend. Because yeah, I'd love to go back and compete again in Big Brother, but being the world traveler that I am, I also would love to travel around and just do all the challenges and the puzzles that are Amazing Race. Eh, And don't ask me to pick one or the other, because I picked Amazing Race and I'm the team that goes home in week one. I'm like, dang, I just kind of screwed that up, didn't I? So I don't. Yeah, so Angie, answer's got to be both, or whoever, or whichever. Call me. I'm not picky. It's don't ask me to cook a lot of food, and I can probably hold my own and be okay. But yeah, I'd pick any of them. The competition from season 21. I just lost that. Sorry. The season competition from season 21 that I want to be back is the double eviction one. Oh, Don saying that. Well, we had the hockey, which was fun. I came really close, and Nicole won it, and I was so happy for Nicole. I gotta say, she was so despondent when she did not win the Hang On Fright, the wall competition, because she really thought that was her competition. She talked about it to me, and we both thought, man, this is perfect for you, Nicole. You're gonna win your HOH right there. And she was so ready, and then it didn't happen. And she just was thinking at that point maybe it wasn't gonna ever happen. But she won that. Yeah, she won that hockey competition, and I think even people who probably were worried, like Christy and Tommy, or Holly and Mickey, they didn't know which way we were going to go for certain. Even though their people were perhaps worried with the Nicole HOH how it was going to affect their game, I think everyone truly was happy to see her reaction, and how happy she was. And I was, of course, I love to see it. If she hadn't won it, I wanted to win it, but I was incredibly happy to see Nicole win. And then I won the what the bleep, the veto competition right after that. That was just a perfect night. That was an amazing evening, and especially what the bleep. I still don't know. I got every single question on that corrected. I don't know how. It's not as though I'm so super observant during eviction speeches and things like that. I think I just had been in a house so long with those people that I just kind of, I guess I had a feel for what words they would use or not use. And it's not that I remembered every one of those speeches. I just had a good feel for kind of what kind of speech patterns and things like that. But yeah, that was an incredible night. It was great. So yeah, bring back the hockey. I'd love to see that again as well. Doom. I remember finding Paul didn't know what Kroger was. I forgot about that. Yeah, I guess that's who they use for our grocery store as well. I always laugh thinking, now there's some Kroger just around the corner from the CBS lot that every day some production assistant probably is in there spending $1,000 worth of food, bringing. They're saying, why do you want $400 worth of meats and everything else? And do you really need 15 cases of cereal and things like that? Just loading up the baskets to take back to the Big Brother house. I always thought, if you really want to be sneaky, go into wherever the nearest Kroger is to the CBS lot, and maybe just put some secret messages inside some of the cereal containers if you want to get a message to your favorite house guest or something. I'm sure they'd catch it. If not, as soon as someone pulled out a letter for a note from inside the cereal box, I have a feeling Big Brother would be saying, bring that to us right now. Don't take a look at that. Just come on in and get it to us. But, hey, that's the way devious minds work, I suppose. Uh, Lawrence saying I saw a taping of Big Brother. The interns buy the items for the house guests. I talked to one I got to see a taping. That's pretty good. Lawrence, I would love to see a taping. That would be so much fun. That would be an absolute blast. But yeah, I figure they sent some intern off to purchase that food every time. Let's see, Kroger's is Ralph's in Los Angeles. Okay, I knew there was different sub stores and all of that use the Kroger brand. Amanda, did y'all ever run out of hot water? We never did. Now I know that last year All Stars, it seems like they had an issue with it, of running out of hot water. We never did. I don't know if they changed the plumbing or what. I don't think it's that we took quicker showers. But now here's the thing: I also tended to shower first thing in the morning before everyone else was up, so I had the benefit of having a whole night worth of storage in that hot water heater. So it was always great for me. Later in the season, sometimes I would take a shower just because I was so bored. But even if I took a shower in the middle of the day after sitting outside for a while or something, I don't ever remember having issues with hot water during our season. But last summer, it seemed like it was a major deal. So I don't know. Maybe they replaced. Uh, I don't know. It may be they just don't want people staying in the shower for too long, so they just put a smaller hot water heater in. There's a little bit of incentive to get people to get on out the door once they've cleaned themselves up a little bit. Uh, Moss, I've never seen a Kroger in my life. Well, hey, Kroger's Kroger. They got them down here in Houston, so Kroger's, HEBs, we got them all. When will Whataburger come to their senses and sponsor you? Angie said. Yeah, I don't know. I miss. I'm ready to go back get me some more Whataburger, some taquitos and all that. I don't know. One of these days, but maybe it's because Whataburger knows that I'm gonna talk about them and I'm gonna eat their food whether they sponsor me or not. They get a freebie out of me, I suppose. That's okay because I like my Whataburger. It just makes me think of home. All right, I say take my showers around midnight. It's more relaxing to me that way. I take them every night before I go to bed. It helps me go to sleep. So yeah, I'm kind of one of those guys. I can't understand. Without naming any names whatsoever, there's been over the past few seasons a few people here and there that got laughed at because they didn't seem to shower as much as people would think they should shower and things like that. There wasn't that much to do. I mean, I would take a shower in the morning just to wake me up. He gave me a chance to sing in the shower sometimes. He just gave me time to collect my thoughts, close everything else out, and pretend like I'm just in a normal world without all that going on. And as I said, sometimes I just say, hey, there's nothing going on. I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. So I'd use the shower as an excuse to get away from conversations I was just tired of dealing with and everything. Heck, I could have almost been in the shower half the time I was in the house if they'd let me. And it's like swimming or anything else. It's just a relaxing way to spend a few minutes. That was my getaway while I was inside the house. It was a shower. Did you have to clean the shower in the morning before you used it? Not necessarily every morning, Lawrence, but I often did. Those showers got rough. There was a lot of people. Now picture 16 people taking a shower in just one or two of those little shower cubicles, and hair and everything else. I'm not gonna go in all detail. Yeah, you sometimes drains would start backing up, and I just gonna grab it all. I'd grab it, throw it in the trash can because I'm using soap and clean my hands after I get done. But some people would get in there and they'd have on gloves and they'd be so worried about trying to clean everything out in the shower. But yeah, we didn't. I don't know. Maybe some seasons people have you do this, you do this. I always said when I went in, I'm gonna try to like clean the kitchen. That's what I'll do, or I'll clean what other people don't want to clean, so I look like oh, we can't get rid of him because he's the one to clean the toilets, no one else is, or whatever. And I thought when I went in, I was going to do something like that. As it turns out, once I got into the house, we never assigned tasks. We never said you need to do this. I'm going to do this. You just always, at least me, I always wanted to try to be useful doing something. So someone else was cooking food in the kitchen. Sometimes, if we had the access to the laundry the system, I'd do all the sheets in the bedrooms and I'd wash them all and I'd go put them back on just so people would say, hey, thank you, Cliff, for doing that. Or same with the showers, things like that. And then there are some people like Kat and David, I think, was the same way that really liked it clean. And I know Kat, it was very therapeutic for her. She would go in, she would clean just almost to a toothbrush level of the kitchens and things like that. So she would really give it a hard scrub and she would spend hours doing that. And that was just her way. I take showers to relax. I think Kat cleans ovens for her way to relax. So to each his own. I was glad to have her in the house. Thank you, Kat. I always appreciate when she cleaned the kitchens and the showers and things like that. Who's that say? Flip flops and gloves. Flip flops and gloves just to shower. Lauren's saying, I, and Lawrence is saying self-evict if I had to clean the shower. I thought the same thing. I went in there thinking, oh, I don't want to be sharing all this stuff with so many people. I don't want to be sleeping in the same bed that someone else slept in before. I like my stuff clean and sterile and taken care of. And after a couple of weeks, it's like, whatever. Yeah, I don't care if 10 other people slept in this bed. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep here without worrying too much about it. Same way with the shower. Same way with the glass. I don't know, whatever. You just after a while, You got so focused on playing the game. I know for me is even little things like changing clothes. Yeah, obviously I didn't want to strip down naked or something. I don't want to be on those websites, but there are times where I'd be getting ready for bed and I just strip down to my underwear, throw on some sleep shorts, and the camera would be facing me. And all of a sudden, as I started to strip down, the camera would turn away from where I was, which was very nice of him. I know I hollered out a few times, hey, I appreciate it, big brother, but hey, doesn't phase me at this point in time. Yeah, show whatever you want to show. That's and maybe they're doing it just to protect their viewers. They're saying, yeah, get the camera away from Cliff while he's stripping down to his underwear. No one wants to see that. But yeah, after a while, cleanliness, beds, showers, gloves, all I you just like, yeah, just don't send me home this week. That's all I'll deal with all the other stuff. Just send me home this week. That's all I care about. So yeah, Megan, you get used to it. That's all I can say. Is after a while, it's just like, I think it's like being. I hate to compare. I hate to ever compare Big Brother to the military because there's no comparison. But picture the guys out in the field who haven't had a shower in weeks and everything. And I have a feeling there's a lot of things that we think, oh, that's kind of horrible. That's kind of disgusting. After a while, you just say, yeah, it's part of the job. You get used to it. You don't even think twice about it. And same way inside the house to some degree. Uh, Moss, I could never do Big Brother or Survivor, maybe The Amazing Race. It's all about the challenge. It's all about the journey. Discomfort, it's just anything that pushes me, that challenges me a little bit, sounds exciting to me. So yeah, I would do any of them. Right. Ants and Big Brother 22. We had ants, but we didn't have them until the very end of the season, and they gave us some traps, and it was never a huge issue. We got them up on top of our refrigerator at one point in the cereals and all that, and so I feel like there's about a week where it was an issue that we had to fight every day, just putting the traps out and killing them as best we could and all that. They were bad in the backyard, but we did everything we could not to get them inside the house as well. Amanda, I remember watching Nicole clean that shower. David cleaned the fridges in Big Brother more than I have ever. David, it drove David crazy to have dishes in the sink or have an unclean refrigerator or anything else. He was very much a clean freak, which I very much appreciated as well. Thank you, David. Yeah, it was funny, and it's funny too because you can really play with that some. I didn't do it so much with David. I mean, I never left stuff in the sink just to make him mad or anything else. But I did it with Mickey a little bit. Mickey was he had to have everything lined up just perfect in the refrigerator. Everything lined up, the labels facing out. He was very specific on the way he wanted the fridge to look. And so sometimes I would just go in there and I know I open up an extra jar of peanut butter and set it in there, or just move stuff around, top shelf, move it down to the lower shelf, and things like that. Just because I knew as soon as he'd open the fridge and he'd see it, he'd get a little irritated. I wasn't doing it to be mean, and I don't even know if I was doing it completely as strategy. It was more just because I knew I could push his button a little bit, just to watch him react a little bit every time he would clean everything up, then come right back, and the refrigerator's all moved around and messed up again. You got to have fun in that house, however you could do it. Lawrence said I could sleep in the same bed as the cute girls. Hey, it's just the opposite for me. I was in that house. I was like, yeah, I'm not. I gotta be careful. I got my family watching back home, and not that anything was going to happen, but still, just the perception and the way it looks, everything else. It was so funny because when Christy won HOH her first week, and then you had Jack, and then you had Nick, there were always massive number of people sleeping up in that HOH bed. As many people as could squeeze into that bed that were squeezed in every night, especially Christy. She had Sis, and I can't remember who all else, Holly, and everyone was up there in bed when she was. Once I won HOH, like, all right, y'all all are out of here. I don't think no one slept in that bed except me the whole time I was there, which is exactly the way I wanted it. But yeah, if you're young and single, whatever. But I was careful about that. Even when we first started, and we all had to share beds. Ovi and I were in the same bed, and that was one of my fears. Was I hope I'm not forced to sleep in the same bed as one of the women in the house, just because it just wouldn't seem right. You do what you have to do, but it just wouldn't have seemed right. So that worked out okay. Let's see. Cliff has no shame. I have so much shame in my body. Yeah, Ma, yeah, look at me. At this point in time, yeah, I've got enough years on me. I gave up the shame stuff a long time ago. So now, not that I don't have any shame, but I am what I am, and I accept that, and I expect others to as well. And so life is so much easier when you just learn to accept who you are. Doesn't mean you can't always improve and evolve and everything else. But you accept who you are, and then you move on from there. So yeah, not a lot of shame. You can show me however you want on that on those TV shows. Let's see. Cliff is a showman's with his hat. Yeah, I like my hat. Hey, you know what? Anything that makes you stand out a little bit. Same reason. Wear the hat. Carry Orwell around. There's things that I knew helped. It helped me communicate with people and helped me create an image. Not that this is just an image; it's just who I am again. But yeah, I love my hats. I'm ready for the rodeo to come back to Houston, so I can wear my hats around a little bit again. All right. Cliff, social distancing before it was a thing. Yeah, yeah. You got that right. I trust me. There were times where I was in a house where I would have done anything to social distance from every other person in that house, and not just 6 foot. Just put me about 30 or 40 foot away. Because during the early parts of that season, there wasn't. It was there was no privacy whatsoever. There was someone in everywhere. All right, guys, it's already 8 o'clock. Chick-fil-A or Popeyes? I don't know. I gotta go Chick-fil-A. I love my Chick-fil-A. Lines are always horrendous to get through, but I love my Chick-fil-A as well. Take Whataburger, but Chick-fil-A is a nice little backup as well. It's 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down before too long. Now I do need to do one thing. I didn't even get to all the stuff I was going to talk about, but that's all right. We'll talk about it next week. But I did want to point out my background because y'all are saying, "What the hell is that going on?" On this day in history, in addition to the $6 million man, I also have to say a happy 66th birthday to Kevin Costner. He turned 66 today. Kevin Costner is one of my favorite actors. Man, Dances with Wolves. There's so many different shows that he's done, and I absolutely love. But one of my favorite movies of all time, certainly of Kevin Costner, is Fandango. If you have not seen Fandango, go find it. Check it out. Find it wherever you watch your programming. But find Fandango, and it's all about a bunch of guys who are graduating from the University of Texas, and they want to go on one last little road trip before some of them go to Vietnam and careers, get married, things like that. And so it's a buddy trip, a road trip down to South Texas, and it's one of my all-time favorite shows. So Fandango, starring Kevin Costner. Happy 66 to you, Kevin Costner. All right, guys. I think. I'll always be your bodyguard. Yeah, The Bodyguard was a great one as well. We could spend a whole hour talking Kevin Costner flicks and the ones I like. Postman, not Postman, Mailman. I don't know. The dystopic apocalyptic world. There's a lot of his shows, movies that I really like. All right, guys. Thank you for my hat. I appreciate it. Where did I get it? I don't know where I got Shepler's, Cavender's, one of the country western places here around town, Jake. Speaking of, and I will talk about this next week. Here's my other hat. This is the one. I can't believe I didn't get a chance to talk about it. This is the hat that I had on day number one when we got splashed by the goop during the camp director's challenge. So I got paint stuff, everything on it. That's all right because at the end, got it signed by almost everyone in the cast. We'll talk about that next week because I ran way out of time. All right, guys, it's 8:03, so I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. I hope y'all have a fantastic week. And again, thoughts and prayers to Chicky D and Crosstrack and anyone else who's having a rough week because of COVID or anything else. Take care of each other. Check in on each other. This is also Blue Monday is a national day, which because start of January, cold weather, people are getting their bills from Christmas. It's considered one of the more depressing days of the year. So check on each other, say hello to each other, social distance, wear your mask, and everything's going to turn out well before too long. Have a great one, guys. I will see y'all. Well, I was going to say see you next Monday. I'm going to drop an episode of the challenge recap. We didn't talk about that really too much, but I'll watch the show on Wednesday. I'll do a recap on Thursday, drop that, and then I'll be back with Cliff Notes Live on Monday. Till then, guys, y'all have a great one. Take care of each other. Love y'all all. SKD 143. Night, guys. Bye. There we go. Bye. Hey, bye. There we go.